Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bored and Annoyed. I'm Jackson.
And I'm home with the movies.
And this week, our main event movie, the only movie we both saw in theaters, is Searching.
Yes, so that's what we'll be talking about. But there are a bunch of other things, too.
Yes, sure.
Bored and Annoyed.
I'll start by saying I went and saw Metallica last night.
Metallica.
Yeah.
Is that your? Let's hear the Hetfield.
Well,
That's it.
Yeah. What
That's
else does
it?
he do? I mean, that's his thing. He just says yeah in the middle
I thought
of
you would
songs.
have more. As like this big Metallica fan.
I mean, that's the easy one. You know, I could yodel and try to do a high note like he does these days.
Okay.
But yeah, I saw him last night. Jim Brewer opened for them.
Okay.
The comedian. And it was funny because I think half the audience, like, it made me realize that if you weren't alive 15 to 20 years ago, you like don't know who Jim Brewer is.
Right.
Which is bizarre. But that was not well received, but I was enjoying myself during that. Yeah, it was kind of just like,
boos?
okay. Yeah, there were boos.
Oh,
there
fantastic.
were boos. I felt bad for him,
Yeah.
to be honest. But at the same time, it's like pretty kick-ass gig for him. I mean, I'm sure he's doing fine.
Yep.
But yeah, Metallica, really good show. They're a little too proud of their latest album, though.
Oh, were there a lot of plays from that one?
They played 7 songs off of it.
Whoa! How long was their set?
Probably about 2 hours. They played like 15 or 16 songs, I think.
Oh, okay.
So almost half of the show was their new album.
Wow.
Yeah. And I actually am a fan of that album. I thought it was pretty good, considering where they were about a decade or two ago. But you get the sense it's like they pay a premium to go see you.
Right.
They want to hear your first 4 records, Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning, all that shit.
Right.
I was lucky enough a few years ago to see them, like when they were well between albums. They didn't have a new one to promote, and it was like all old shit.
Right.
That's the best show I ever saw of them.
Okay.
I mean, they still kick ass. They're Metallica.
Right.
But yeah, there was a tinge of disappointment, I would say, and I've talked to a few people who felt the same way. A lot of people go see Metallica. They don't know any of the songs off the new record.
Right.
Yeah,
like me personally, I dropped Metallica probably after the Mission Impossible 2 song.
I Disappear.
Yeah.
I saw them play that live once. It was pretty funny. But yeah, I don't know. It was good. I wish that they would kind of give the fans more what they want. Play a couple songs.
Do they play Sanitarium?
They did not.
That's like my favorite song.
So the way they work is they've got their songs that they play at every show, and then they kind of mix in random songs. So I'm actually going again in Milwaukee in a month, and I'm hoping they play Sanitarium and whatever. But yeah, they played like one Fade to Black, Master of Puppets, clearly.
Right.
But yeah, it sucks. I don't want them to play 7 songs off their latest record.
Right. I had heard that they actually sort of you can. There are apps in which they can see what's the most played on like Spotify and stuff, and they can adjust their plays based on like they can adjust their set list based on that.
They could, but they're not. I mean, they played this song Confusion from their new album. Like nobody knows that fucking song. I'm sorry.
Confusion.
Yeah. But it was funny too because I had a moment where I realized how old I am. Second song, I think they played, they started with like Hardwired, and then they went into Seek and Destroy.
Okay.
The only song they played off Kill 'Em All, by the way. But I was headbanging, and all of a sudden I realized like, ow. Like something in my neck, like really was tweaked. Oh. And I tried looking up at like there were like screens above them on these cubes that were going up and down.
Right.
Yeah, not happening. I mean, it's bad. Like it still hurts today. Took my Tylenol and ibuprofen cocktail, so that helped a little bit.
Right.
But Jesus Christ, I really need to stretch or just stand there like a boring asshole when I go to a show because
It reminds me of that Louis C.K. bit where he goes into the doctor and he's like, I got this pain. He's like, okay, so yeah, you're gonna have to do this exercise every morning. And he's like, well, how long am I gonna have to do this? He's like, no, you don't understand. This is just a thing you do now forever.
Right. It's funny because I'm not an old man,
right?
But you notice. Because I used to just be a fucking lunatic in there and crowd surf all sorts of shit.
Yep. You hit your 30s and that's when that's when you're like, oh, this is why people say that you're young when you're in your 20s.
Well, and then someone in their 40s is listening, hopefully, and they're going, oh, you don't even understand.
Yep.
But yeah, it was fun. They put on a hell of a show as far as like pyrotechnics, all the crazy shit they've got going. They really treat the kids well.
Really?
At the shows? Yeah, like they see a kid and they'll interact with him and talk to him and shit.
Oh, that's cool.
And then, like they've got their roadie dudes running around, like one kid in front of us. It's hilarious to think the span of generations that their music is hitting out.
How young of kid are we talking about?
We met a 5-year-old outside the show in line, and he, like his dad had asked him, like, hey, we just sold our house. Is there, I've got some extra money. Is there anything you want to do? And they were from Illinois. And he said, I want to go see Metallica.
Oh
so like
God.
we met a 5-year-old at Metallica. But I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, like, these guys used to be like the biggest badasses ever, and now they're just like grandpas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was funny too, because there was a kid in front of us, probably like 8 years old or something. And he was right in the front row. And there's other bands where if you're in the front row, you're getting fucking crushed.
Right.
But that's not their style anymore. But yeah, no, people were coming around like giving him guitar picks, giving him the set list, giving him all sorts of shit. And I'm just thinking like this kid is in heaven right now. Which is cool to see them do that.
I just keep thinking, I just picture like them bringing like a 5-year-old onto the stage and just being like, all right, can you sing the ABCs while they fucking strum the guitar? And then at the end, Hetfield, yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned this.
Okay.
So Jim Brewer had a few people up on stage, like for a competition.
Right.
And this senior in high school won.
Okay.
So they took him backstage and they were showing you, this was like while in the tuning room where they're getting ready to play.
Right.
So this fucking kid got to sit down on Lars' drum set, never played the drums before, and Lars kind of showed him how to play this one part of a song, and he got to play with Metallica backstage.
Jeez.
Pretty neat. But it was funny because I looked over at the fiance and I'm like, hey Lars, thanks for showing everyone how useless you are in this band, where you can just show a fucking kid who's never touched a drum set in his life how to play a little section of Seek and Destroy on drums. I thought that was kind of funny. But fuck Lars.
It's Lars. Drummers, they're valuable.
Yeah, no, they are. Like, he helps write the music, but he's not like, Joey Jordison, a Slipknot, or Rush's
John
drummer.
Bonham.
Yeah, he's not like, fucking this fantastic, amazing drummer. There's a reason why they like all leave the stage and leave Kirk Hammett up there. I've never seen them go, all right, time for Lars to take over for a couple minutes. He is funny, but I don't know. It's just,
I like how angry he is about everything.
Oh well,
in life.
He has it right. He has it tough, man. Napster, man.
That's your Lars.
I can't do it. Jim Brewer did a fantastic one, but yeah, no, Metallica was good, but like I said, play more old shit. Although I did get my first guitar pick ever, and it wasn't like the basket of them they toss. It was like James finished playing a song, threw a guitar pick. And I felt it hit my arm, and I look down and I see it, and I just slam my foot on top of it, and this like teenage kid gets down there and just starts like flailing his arms, trying to like punch people away from it. And I'm like, I looked at him, I go, dude, chill the fuck out, man. And then he like looked up at me and got up, and I just moved my foot, went down, picked it up. So that was a pretty neat experience, but.
What a dick, man.
Oh yeah, it was unbelievable.
People at concerts,
I
man.
know. But yeah, there you go. Metallica. Now, on to movie stuff.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of hurting your head and bashing your head and all that stuff, how do you think the Movie Pass people feel?
Probably pretty bad. They threw me off this week, Alex. They threw me off MoviePass.
No longer with the free ride.
Nope, no free ride. I had a free ride. I'm not sure if I shared this or not, but I had bought it through Costco, and I called Costco for a return, and they told me to just keep the card. So they fully refunded me, but then I was still using the card.
Yeah.
But yeah, this weekend that dream ended.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I think they're in trouble, and it sounds like people are starting to realize it from the inside.
Yeah, somebody else who realized that they were in trouble was one of their board of directors, Carl J. Schramm. He basically went out and said, you guys were withholding information from me and from other board members. I was not able to do my job to the best of my ability, and because of these things, my ability to do my job because of the withholding of these financial decisions and such, I will be leaving. So, Mark, another blow to MoviePass.
So not only are their customers leaving, but their board members are leaving too.
Oh, everybody's jumping off the ship, man.
Yep. Well, they should have made changes 8 months ago.
Yeah. We had sort of talked before podcast about, do you think this is a level of, I want to save face and get out before it goes down? Or is it really, you didn't let me do my job and I should leave now?
I think there's a mixture of both.
Right.
I mean, this guy now looks great because he bailed on MoviePass, but
right.
I don't know. Who knows? I mean, the company in general is it's interesting because it's like, why don't they just shut down? But then I know there's also lawsuits from investors against them, so I don't know if they can shut down without admitting that they, didn't do everything they could to make the business solvent or whatever.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's sort of interesting. Just another red flag for anybody who still has their MoviePass.
I will say I signed up for AMC A-List. Now, we have one AMC theater here.
Yeah.
And it's the worst one in town, I would say, as far as amenities and all that shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's the worst place to see a movie, sound quality, picture quality, the seats, everybody's got those awesome recliners now. They don't have them in any other theaters.
Right.
But the actual, system they use for this A-List, checking in, all that stuff, very awesome. Loving it. So
Sweet.
It makes it super convenient. It doesn't have to be the same day. You can, pre-purchase multiple movies. Like right now, I could set my schedule and have 3 movies all set up to go to. So I would recommend that, especially for those of you who have an AMC with an IMAX and everything.
So is this like you pay a certain fee a month and you can see a certain amount of movies, or
you pay $20 a month,
okay,
and you can see 3 movies a week.
Okay.
Now this is for us. This doesn't matter, but for other people, those 3 movies can be IMAX, 3D, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
And yeah, you can schedule it out. It's very nice.
That is worth it if you are a movie buff.
Right. Completely. Yeah, they all are. I mean, they all, especially MoviePass in its heyday, 8 months ago, was the greatest thing ever. But yeah, no, even Cinemia and stuff, I mean, none of them are charging what it costs to see X amount of movies for the service they're providing.
Right.
So.
Well, you know what else isn't charging? for what they're I have no segue. There is no segue based on that. Top Gun 2.
I thought you were going to be the new Predator trailer.
Yeah.
You can watch it for free.
You can watch all trailers for
free.
I'm
just saying. They're not charging.
Tom Cruise, Top Gun 2 is being pushed back a year. It was supposed to come out July 2019. Now it's coming out June 2020.
That's interesting. I wonder if they didn't have a full-fledged script in place, and then they cast all these people.
Right.
And then they were like, oh, wait, we have a real movie now.
Yeah.
Let's make sure it's good.
Well, the weird thing is apparently they've been filming for, I think, about a month.
Oh, that's right. They had the promo. They had the shot of Tom Cruise and everything.
Yeah. And what I noticed is throughout the shooting schedule, I kept on seeing announcements of people being added to the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you start a movie without a full cast? That's kind of weird to me. So I guess this makes sense. It's the same director as the director of Tron Legacy and Oblivion.
Okay.
And apparently the reason that they're giving for the delay is that they want to make sure that the action sequences with the fighter jets are as good as they can possibly be.
They can probably do some pretty fucking cool stuff now.
Right.
With that, you know.
And with that director, I have my qualms with him as a director, but visually, I think the movie will look very nice, and the action will be good because Tron Legacy, not a great movie, but it's got some really cool action.
I didn't like Tron Legacy, but it's not horrible. You know what I'm saying?
The soundtrack is one of the best soundtracks.
That was Daft Punk that did the whole thing, right? Yeah, that and it looks cool, but the problem they had with that movie was you blew everything right at the beginning with the awesome scene when he first gets to the Tron world, and he does, like, that's what people want to see.
Yep.
And then the rest of the movie's like,
was that Charlie Hunnam? No. It's like Charlie Hunnam clone.
No, come on now.
They're kind of similar.
Charlie Hunnam's like working today. Come on.
I don't know what happened to that guy.
Yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, he was in Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
But no, it was like fucking Jeff Bridges being depressed. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It was just
weird leather face.
Oh yeah,
Jeff Bridges.
Oh yeah, there was
son.
the uncanny valley Jeff Bridges
with his mouth. It was so obvious around his mouth. His mouth, like, it just looked like he had like rubber lips.
Yeah, so I loved Oblivion. We've talked about this before. You didn't really think it was good.
I thought Oblivion. I was just like, whoa, what if there's more than one Tom Cruise? It's just like, I was jokingly predicting the movie. I'm like, wouldn't it be dumb if it was this? And then it ended up being like
it wasn't dumb. It was cool.
I was like, it would just be so stupid. And then it ended up being all those things. So it was like,
that movie had the balls to not like make it this huge like sci-fi action ending, and I appreciated that. And talk about a good soundtrack. That was another one where the sound design and the music in it was fucking great. The cinematography was great. I mean, the sets they built for the fucking towers, like with the actual screens around them, it wasn't just like a, blue screen background every 2 seconds. But
yeah, this the director's name is Joe Kosinski.
Okay.
And wonder if he's like related to John Krasinski.
Speaking of John, we'll get to him
later. We'll get to you later, John. but this Joe, he used to be like an architect, actually.
Yeah.
And so like that's why you can see Oblivion. And there's one thing I will say about Oblivion, which is a lot of the world design is really kind of cool, and the vehicle design is kind of cool. And the same thing with Tron Legacy. There's a lot of really interesting looking things in the movie.
Yeah, so that's what they're going for Top Gun, hopefully, is what you're saying?
I don't know what they would do with, it's not sci-fi, so you can't go, like, insane.
Right.
But maybe he's...
Well, I'm sure he's just buddy-buddy with Tom now.
Right.
As part of this.
He's got to be.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's a Scientologist.
Oh, he could be. He could be. We should have looked that up.
Converted him.
Hey, if you convert to Scientology, I'll let you direct the Top Gun reboot.
Is that a good deal?
Exactly. I don't know.
Speaking of not a good deal, I'm just going to keep on using that as my segue.
Okay.
Speaking of not a good deal, Predator, the Red Band trailer. Not a good deal.
Oh, it's a Red Band trailer.
Yeah, you couldn't tell that by the
I just saw
3 shots
trailer.
of blood.
Maybe
shots
I
of blood.
didn't watch the Red Band one.
Okay.
I just heard it when you were watching it. But I think people are going to say this looks good.
Yeah.
It looks fucking stupid.
It does. It's weird, man.
It doesn't look like a Predator movie to me.
No, it doesn't.
It looks like a Predator movie for someone who saw Alien vs. Predator when they were like 5 and really liked it.
It's the second time that Shane Black is going to make a franchise movie that does not feel like it's a part of that franchise. Because he did that with Iron Man 3. And this, it just looks, the humor is really off.
Yeah, well, we'll see if it's off. I mean, we talked about this. You can't, without context, it doesn't look good.
How do you feel about the giant Predator versus...
I don't like the giant Predator.
Okay.
I don't like the Predator dogs.
You didn't like them in Predators?
You know, I liked Predators. It's been so long since I've seen it.
Right.
That I don't have any positive or negative things to say about it. But I'm just thinking like thing crash lands on Earth. I just want a fucking predator that they can't kill.
Right.
Like some intense like shit.
Yeah.
And to me, intense isn't like CGI creatures flying all over the screen and fucking getting blown up. That's not intense.
There was a little too much of the CGI there. I wish they had gone a little bit more practical.
Well, we'll see. Again, it's one of those things where maybe it'll work in the final product.
Yeah.
But just how about you? Do you like the idea of giant predator and predator, or does it depend on how the lore is?
I'm a big lore guy, and it depends on how it's used in the movie.
Okay.
If it's a matter of like every predator that we have seen thus far has been like a teenager. And this is like a full grown, like this is what they grow into.
Okay.
I'd be like, that's kind of cool. I'd be all, I mean, it depends on how it's sort of conveyed in the movie, obviously, but as an idea, that's an okay idea. Because I like the idea of the predators going out and like, these are all young predators and they're trying to prove themselves.
Sure.
And then this one's just kind of like, boy. I don't think so, boy.
So this one's pissed at his teenage son for like smoking dope or something, and
I told
shows
you
up.
It's like, dude, God damn it! That one predator came to this planet and he had to blow himself up. We don't come here anymore.
No, that could be it. Now here's what I'm worried about.
Okay,
I'm worried about like the Freddy versus Jason thing where like the little predator, kind of like Jason and Freddy versus Jason, like turns out to be kind of a good guy.
I don't want that.
Where the humans like either take pity on him or he joins with the humans to fight the big predator.
You know what
This is where I see this going.
And
I hope I'm wrong.
And your concern is pretty good because I mean that's like, and then we live happily ever after as a nice big family.
Well, no. So I think if the little predator took out the big predator, like I don't think they're going to be like pals, like hatching a plan together in a room with
Wouldn't
Mr.
that
Predator.
just be great? Like the predator, pointing at like a map,
right? Like the District 9 creature,
right?
With, what's his name? Yeah. But no, I think it's like, well, the only way we're going to be able to take him down, concentrate all fire on the big one. Like we need to help. Blah blah
do
blah.
your own thing, and he just like
pumps his fist. I'm talking like I'm talking a conversation between the humans.
Oh, okay.
Where they're like, oh yeah, well, that one we need to use him to somehow get the big one, and blah 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 blah. That's where I see it going. I hope I'm fucking wrong.
You know what?
And if I'm right, I hope they do it well. So I'm like, okay, fine.
What I'll tell you what I wouldn't hate about that is the teenage predator joins the humans. We're just going to use teenage predator.
You're convinced he's a teenager.
I hope it is.
He's not like a monster predator.
If it's just, we mutated a predator, fuck you.
I think that, wait a minute.
Wait
a minute. Isn't Olivia Munn like a scientist character? Aren't they like in a lab?
No.
Yeah,
we can't fucking do that. Don't do that. Don't do that movie. But
well, it's too late now. It's in the can now. It's coming out next week.
That's how movies work.
Yep.
Jackson says that's that's what's happening.
Right.
But I'll tell you what would work for me is if the predator joins them, and then as they're hunting the big one, he kind of starts just like killing off a couple of the humans when nobody else is around.
Like tricking them.
Yeah. So he's just like, yeah, fuck you, and stabs them while like they're in a tree together looking at something.
What if the predator, the little predator, was like a love interest for Olivia Munn?
Oh man,
it's like a
dating a predator
story, like
dating a predator, but not that kind of predator.
It's one of the coolest, ugliest alien.
How do you kiss that thing? You don't kiss that thing.
You don't have a choice. It
eats your face.
Yeah, right. You don't have a choice. It kisses you, the predator.
It's like a full face kiss. It just like puts your head in its mouth. But last thing that I'm not even bothering with a segue on this one. Last thing that I saw in the news that I thought was kind of interesting Rotten Tomatoes is looking to increase the amount of critics that they have on the tomato meter, which is where you get the score. And basically, they went out. They released this statement that says, over the past few years, our team has added hundreds of new voices to the tomato meter on top of the thousands we currently have, with the goal of creating a critics pool that closely reflects the global entertainment audience. We took another key step today by revamping our critic criteria that both shifts and focuses to approving critics individually rather than through publications, and introduces updated guidelines for newer media platforms to be part of the tomato meter.
So they want your YouTube reviewers, your podcasters, those kind of folks to be counted.
I think that's part of it. I think there might be a part of this that's sort of linked to that Brie Larson thing about all critics are white dudes and stuff. I don't know, but I kind of wonder.
Yeah, you're right. It could be. I don't think there's I don't really think there's much wrong with it as it stands today.
No, I mean,
so
critics,
I don't know if I'm for this or not. I mean,
critics are a different breed than. That's why they have the general audience score. Just because you have.
Well, maybe that's it. They know that these audience scores are trash,
right?
And maybe there's bloggers and shit who they want to be included, and who knows?
Yeah, my concern about this is being a movie critic is a profession, and there are people who go to I went to school studying film.
Sure, I did not.
Which is fine. And, I wouldn't say that you need to be, or need to go to school to be a critic, but I do think that you should have, it's kind of we wouldn't be happy if all of a sudden, they're oh, well, we're becoming a little bit more lax on who can be a plumber now.
That's true.
You wouldn't be happy about that.
But hold on a second. Now, if a certain shitty didn't go to trade school plumber guy
right.
had a bunch of people paying him to come fix their pipes and shit, then I think we have another conversation. I'm iffy on this because it's if some YouTuber who's kind of a jackass who thinks that all these bad movies are good. He's a huge fan of White Chicks or something, and you just know in
right.
your head that he is wrong.
Yeah.
Let's say he likes nothing but cheese dick action movies, whatever.
Right.
If he has enough hits on his page,
that's what concerns me is just because it's entertaining doesn't mean it's a good diagnosis of what makes a good film. Because my review of Hereditary, I looked at it and I'm this is a well-made movie.
Sure.
There's in every aspect from genre, subverting cliches and embracing them, from shot composition to lighting to acting. It has all of these things that I can point to and say, this is good. Now, just because I didn't love the movie.
Right.
Doesn't mean I wouldn't say it's a good movie. It's a good movie. But if you're bringing in Joe Schmo off the street, I'm worried that they're going to be man, that movie fucking was boring as shit. I'm not going to recommend that movie. Fuck that movie. And then all of a sudden you got a rotten review on somebody who didn't have a good time in a movie but can't point to why, or doesn't understand shot composition and shit like that. I'm I don't know if I like this.
Yeah, I mean,
but they're funny, so it's okay.
You're right, because that's kind of where the audience score, if you are a person who doesn't like the artsy kind of style shit, then you look at the audience score, right? And you go, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't see this because at 50%,
right,
half the people are saying that these critics are full of shit.
Which
works right now, I think, for the most part.
I think there are movies that are not meant for critics. That's
Transformers.
That's a bad way of putting it. There are movies that critics will not like because they're a little too popcorn.
Sure.
They're a little too now. You go to your Amazing Spider-Mans and you go to your Transformers and those are just poorly made.
Well, yeah, I mean,
speaking of Transformers,
did you finish it?
We'll come back to that.
Okay, sweet.
That's to be continued. But I mean, you'll look at the audience score and you kind of get a better sense of well, you turn off your brain, you stop looking for shot composition, you might enjoy it a little bit more. Stuff like that, you know? Yeah, so you're right. The audience score is so important.
Well, yeah, I mean, like Transformers, if you like really shiny special effects and action and explosions and shit,
Yeah.
probably will like a Transformers movie.
Yeah.
It's going to get a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes, but
the audience score will be 47.
right. Well, in that last one's case, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty bad.
But yeah, so I don't know.
That's when you know you've made an especially shitty movie, by the way. When you make like a Transformers movie, like I was a fan of the franchise. I still consider myself a fan because I find it fun to watch these fucking CGI monsters kill each other, basically.
Right.
But that last one,
garbage.
awful. Correct.
Well, using that as our segue, we're going to get into the review section here real quick.
Okay.
So I continued on, what was it called? The last night? The last night. So Transformers, The Last Night. So I can't quite remember where I left off, but while watching, I decided I'm going to take some notes about everything that sucks. So
Now, did you start it over?
No, I started right from where I was. And so there's a point where like the I don't know, they're like TPS reports or whatever. They're like Transformers. They're like the cops that are trying to kill the Transformers.
TPS reports.
TPS reports. That's what I'm going to call them. TPS reports.
Like, okay, so they're the walking embodiment of the
my stapler.
the papers that he didn't put his cover sheet or whatever on in Office
What's
Space.
this here I hear about you not putting cover letters on your TPS reports?
Right. Okay, but no, continue.
So they're watching as like the Dinobots come out of the ground randomly.
Now, is this the crew that has what's his name from
Fergie's
Arrested
husband.
Development in
What?
it?
Who?
The guy, the dumb Buster. Buster's
What?
in the
Buster's in the movie.
Buster's like the one who's like hell bent on using nukes.
He's a NASA dude.
Well, whatever.
But no. They're like the military dudes.
Okay, they're like
and
the,
it's got
the-
Fergie's husband.
yeah, sure.
from-
The classic Transformers character.
Yeah, the classic character,
Yes.
chiseled jaw man.
Yep, right.
So they're watching as the Dinobots show up out of the ground and like blow up a bunch of things, and they're watching, and I think his name is Josh Duhamel.
Yeah, there you go.
So he's like, no, you can't go out there. And then the other one, who's like the new character, who's a douche, he's like, those are my men. And then there's this weird jump cut where he just shoves him, and it's the first jump cut in the movie. And you could tell it was just a matter of like Michael Bay being like, that didn't end quite as extreme enough. Shove him. So he shoves him. It just comes out of nowhere. It's bad. Then they introduce the Decepticons in a kind of like Suicide Squad-esque
Oh my
montage.
God, it was so stupid.
But then they're killed within 10 minutes. Like the whole crew, except for like Megatron and like one other dude.
You're talking about when they're like, he's bargaining, basically
Yeah.
trying to, and they're like, oh, not that one. You can't have him.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, look at how crazy they are. And it's like, they're all the fucking same. They're all like, there is no difference between Decepticons and Autobots.
They're all pure evil and want to kill everything.
Yeah, but it's just funny that they spend this like 10-minute montage on these characters. It's not 10 minutes, probably 5-minute
It's long
montage.
enough.
And then they're dead within 10 minutes of that montage. That makes no sense to me. Then they're running away from the TPS report drones, and this is Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Hamill's in it.
The movie becomes a lot better if Mark Hamill's in
Yeah,
it.
that's probably true.
But Mark Wahlberg and the girl, they're all running away from these TPS report drones. Actually, first, before that, he's like, no, don't go out there, girl, because the Decepticons show up in this abandoned town that they're in. And he's like, no. And then he's like, oh, man, I got to act now. And he turns on, like, his explosions. Why did he not want her, like, why was he waiting? Because those explosions were right where the Transformers were. Why was he like, oh no, it's too soon, it's too soon? They didn't move at all. You just activated your explosives.
I would have to see it again, which I'm not going to.
It's so bad. It's so bad. Then they're running away from the TPS report drones, and they go into a building, and they're in this abandoned city with cars that are in wrecks and shit. Go into the abandoned building. Looks like a old hotel. There's an old man sweeping in the hallway. Who's he sweeping? This town is abandoned.
I don't remember any of this. None of this.
So these TPS report drones, they all have guns on them. And they're like, earlier in the movie, they were trying to save Mark Wahlberg. Well, they were trying to bring Mark Wahlberg in. They were trying to save the girl. They start shooting at them with their machine guns. And then the one time that the token black character goes in front of Mark Wahlberg, he's like, they recognize faces. I'll protect you. Get behind me. They use a beanbag and they shoot him there. So the one time a character is actually shot, it's a beanbag. What?
Hey, they use beanbags.
They had there's that psychotic butler who just like wants to like kill Mark Wahlberg.
Yes, the butler. That was Anthony Hopkins' butler robot.
Yeah. They have a giant monitor cliche where they're in a military thing and there's like 30 monitors on the screen.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because that's
Michael Bay. That's like classic Michael Bay shit.
Yeah, John Turturro makes a terrible little acting choice and says goat scrotum book. Okay, I suppose that's supposed to be a funny line. It's not funny.
He used to be like the best part of the movies in the first couple. I liked his character.
I don't know. The second he got peed on, that was the end.
That was bad. That's true.
That was the first movie.
That he got peed on. I remember that.
Yeah. There's more.
Still, he's fine though. I like John Turturro.
I like John Turturro. I don't know why he keeps doing this to his career. Then there's exposition Optimus scene where there's it's probably the biggest reveal that you could have in your universe. The Earth's origin.
Sure. Yep.
It's Unicron, but it's just like, she's just like, Earth is Unicron, Cybertron's greatest enemy. You must destroy it. There's no character there to be like, what? There's no human to be like, oh man, I thought like Earth was like a regular planet, man. But no, it's like, it's a giant robot orb. Like, what the fuck?
That shit's annoying to me too, because it's like, no, the first one was simple, and as you've ruined anything simple you set up, because the first one was like, oh, Robot 1 crash landed on Earth looking for this thing.
Yes.
And they tracked it, whatever, so the other ones showed up. That's it.
That's what I hate about this new one, is they keep on coming up with reasons for why that.
I hate that in these sci-fi sequels. Period. I hate when you're going back and you're retconning shit.
Yeah, they're like, well, what's his name? Anthony Hopkins keeps on going like, you want to know why they keep coming here, don't you? And it's like, by the way, there was a secret society that he was a part of that kept them hidden.
I remember that.
So Bumblebee first arrived on Earth to meet Shia LaBeouf in the early 2000s, but really
he's been here forever.
He's been here since World War II.
Yeah, I remember that. That's so stupid.
It's bad.
He was like the first one to arrive, like to set it up for the Autobots to like go like do some recon before they got there, like right before they got there.
Yeah.
Like, as far as I know, his first owner was Shia LaBeouf. He like drove in as a shitty bug.
Yep.
And they, Bernie Mac sold him to the fam.
Yeah, but no. False.
Like, he was a shitty bug because he knew that like this family wouldn't be able to purchase him if he was like a hot rod sports car.
And they needed to find Samuel Witwicky.
But now what's her name is going to have owned him too when the new one comes out.
A girl from
Haley something.
Steinfeld.
Yeah.
Haley Seinfeld.
Right, yep.
Oh man. you were bringing up points, and now I'm like totally derailed on my.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. So Yeager, Mr. Cade Yeager.
Cade Yeager, sweet name though.
It's a sweet name. It's ridiculous, but whatever. But Cade Yeager is he's the chosen protector. He is the last knight. Mark
Correct.
Wahlberg is the last good man on earth.
Is that what it really boils down to?
Yeah, they're like, oh, chastity, integrity, honor, self-sacrifice. You're the last one on... What? Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, but wasn't he also like some sort of wasn't he related in some way or something? The movie was so convoluted.
That was the girl. The girl is the descendant of Merlin. But, wanted to say about the secret society. They're like, we keep Transformers a secret from everybody, which is like, great fucking job on that.
Yeah,
Battle
no
of
shit.
Chicago. But even before that, they were making posters with the Transformers. They were taking pictures with... If you were trying to keep this secret, maybe you just wouldn't have evidence.
This would never happen.
Yeah.
In a world where there were Transformers, the way that the humans handle them would never occur.
So going back to what you said about why do they keep coming here, I thought they came here for the cube in the first one.
Yeah, that was the idea.
I don't know why they kept coming in the sequels because I do not remember them nearly as well. But
the second one was the Fallen.
Oh, right.
Right away they started fucking with the lore.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
wasn't
almost
just like, hey, someone's pissed about Megatron getting killed, so he's come now.
Yeah.
Like, you could have done something simple like that.
It's almost like these movies weren't planned out ahead of time at all. But, there's a time-slowing gun that creates a shockwave that slows down everybody inside that, little bubble.
I remember that little special effects shot there.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here and I'm like... You effectively have it's almost time travel because you're slowing it down. It's altering time in a way. And you have chosen it to weaponize it as a gun rather than using or advancing this technology in any way. This is probably maybe like the most powerful thing in the series thus far. And it's a gun. That's fucking weird to me.
Yeah, it is very weird, but it makes for a scene. That's all it is.
Yeah. I keep on not knowing why they're going after Merlin's staff. They're just like, Merlin's staff
That
is
was
powerful.
my biggest problem with the movie was I was lost as to like what the fuck was going on the whole time.
Yeah. So they introduced the girl, and they're like, why don't you go into your father's study and look at some stuff? And then there's like this really bad cliche flashback montage where it's black and white. It's overexposed. It's quick shots and weird angles of her remembering her childhood in there. But then they can't even stick with the black and white motif of the montage because there are random shots that are in color.
Okay.
That's just like amateur shit right there.
Yeah, that's like filmmaking 101.
Yeah. Which never mind the fact that the black and white overexposed weird angles and close-ups thing with quick editing is cliche as fuck.
Yeah, but Michael Bay, man.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
And but yeah, they don't even finish that scene though. Like it was like they couldn't get the actors for another day to finish the scene, so she's outside the apartment and she just goes like, yeah, just put it all in a box and see you later, bye. And you don't see any of those actors.
Sounds about right.
It's just so weird. I'm just like, this movie fucking blows.
Oh, it's terrible.
So that takes you about an hour and a half into the movie, hour and 45.
Still an hour and a half left.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, dude, it's every scene pretty much in this movie.
Exactly. I'm going to continue. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this because this will be part 3 will probably be coming next week.
You're gonna make this like a series.
I'm coming back next week.
Oh, really? So we have to
can't
hang on because the ending's the stuff that I'm interested in getting into. So
Okay.
I can't wait for next week.
Okay.
Because I do remember like when Optimus comes back and how botched they handled that whole spiel.
Okay.
Like at least you had a chance to like have something neat happen when he comes back.
Spoilers, Jackson. I haven't even gotten there yet.
Well, yeah, he comes back, people. evil Optimus. You set up a movie like all the trailers were like, oh, he's bad this time. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Like the symbol of good for the Transformers universe that, yes, okay, granted, he murders people and stuff. He murders other Autobots, or he murders Decepticons in cold
But he's
blood.
supposed to be the hero.
Yeah, he represents in the movie like the good, badass character.
I'll kill you all.
Yeah,
It's like his first line. And
then at the end, he's always like, and together, we have found home. He's all hopeful, some shit like that. Every fucking movie.
Throw on the Lincoln Park.
Yeah, right.
Roll out. But
rest in peace, Chester.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, okay. We'll get to that next week.
But I just love that they give him like a terrible name, like I'm Optimus Revenge now or something.
Oh my God.
They're like, his eyes are purple. You know what would be interesting though? You're like, oh, it's the symbol of peace and he's evil now. That would be interesting if it was a character change, like through growth.
Right. No,
instead
it's
of
just like press
brainwashing
button and he's bad.
Yeah.
No, and it's not even real brainwashing. It's like, it's not like he was brainwashed by Scientology or something. It's like he fucking gets like, he shows up somewhere and they press a button on him.
Yeah.
And now he's the bad guy version.
Yeah, I got purple eyes. Purple is bad.
And at least it would have been nice, but we'll save that.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you watch this week?
The main thing I got into this week was Jack Ryan. Now, those of you who don't know about Jack Ryan, he was a Tom Clancy character.
Yeah.
In quite a few novels, and he also was the main character in quite a few movies.
Yeah.
So you had like The Hunt for Red October. Alec Baldwin played him. Clear and Present Danger and Patriot Games. It was Harrison Ford.
Yep.
The Sum of All Fears. By the way, I think that's an underrated movie. But Ben Affleck played him. And then the latest one was Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit with Chris Pine, which was okay. I don't hate any of them. I don't think any of them are bad.
I haven't seen any of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'll tell you my experience. My dad owned all of them on VHS growing up.
Okay.
And I saw them and I was like, why does this guy keep changing? Like, does this series suck so much that they can't keep the same actor? And then I was like, oh, it's Government Man. And then I like read the title. It was Jack Ryan. It's like the most plain fucking name. Like, you might as well just call him like John Smith.
Sure. Yeah. But they're good. I honestly, you should check them out. I would be interested.
I might check them out,
especially The Hunt for Red October with like Sean Connery in it and shit. Like submarine one. That one's really good.
Wait, so he goes from having an accent to not having an accent, or
no,
Sean Connery
he's a
not
character.
Okay,
no, Alec Baldwin was Jack Ryan in the first one.
Okay,
but no, this new series, it's frustrating.
Okay,
it's frustrating because it's just good enough, like. And just well made enough where you want to see what happens next. Mm-hmm. Now, the first couple episodes, I know you're a Krasinski fan.
Yeah,
so John Krasinski's playing him now.
Yep.
The first couple episodes I was watching and I was thinking to myself, like, ooh.
Is this on Prime?
It's on Prime.
Okay.
Yep. The first couple episodes I was sitting there watching it and I was thinking to myself, like, ooh, they picked the wrong guy.
Okay.
I got to be honest because he's just too friendly and kind of goofy,
friendly,
dorky looking. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yep. He's a likable guy.
Right, but that's just it. The fucker is likable.
Yeah.
So
and Jack
by
Ryan
the end of the series or the season, and I watched all. This is I'm gonna criticize this show.
Okay.
It's gonna be a highly criticized show.
Okay.
But I did watch it in like 24 hours. I watched all 8 episodes.
Wow.
So it was good enough where I got sucked in and I had to like finish it.
Okay.
Now, basically, plot is Jack Ryan is CIA analyst. Mm-hmm. He does like paperwork. He pushes paper. Those of you who have seen Jack Ryan stuff know that this is kind of the gig.
But he becomes Neo.
Well, he was no, not quite. He was ex-military. So he was a Marine. Something tragic and bad happened to him. And he, has now been doing the computer stuff ever since.
Right.
He gets brought in on this case because he notices something and he basically is the expert on this topic. So he gets brought in, and he ends up being Action Man. This is what's disappointing. So you get his backstory or what happened to him, because this is like one of those things where an event happened to him.
Okay.
It's not like, this long backstory exposition thing. It's like you're getting flashes of it throughout the series.
So he was traumatized, and they don't want to give it away necessarily.
Well, and then they do give it away.
Do they drag it out?
No.
Okay.
It's but you don't learn anything about the character, really.
Okay.
He's like the least interesting of the characters in the show.
Ooh.
And I get it that, it's kind of like Mad Max or fucking Jerry Seinfeld, where it's like they're just the thing that all this stuff happens around them.
Right.
But like a political intrigue thriller, I feel like you should kind of have some more twists and turns and because
Right.
it's kind of obvious to see like, okay, what the event was doesn't matter so much. So when you show it to us, like it's a neat scene, but it didn't really change my thoughts on the character himself. But here's some things that they do. So
Okay.
it's a Muslim terrorist plot. It's very 24-esque. And
I was going to say, I'm surprised. Well, actually, no, I'm not surprised that you finished it, because it does seem like a 24
I love
show.
24.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't read the Tom Clancy novels, so I don't know how much of this stuff 24 took originally from Tom Clancy shit. But there's stuff in this. For instance, there's a substance that they need to detonate into like an air system at a building.
Okay.
Been done in 24. There's the family with the Muslim family who, like, someone in the family is a terrorist, and somebody else in the family is trying to like get the rest of the family out of there.
Right.
Been done in 24.
I was going to say, isn't this the problem of sort of the government suspense thriller, is that as a genre just sort of feeds in on itself with its own cliches?
It runs out of stuff to do.
Yeah.
Now, where this one isn't as ballsy as 24, I think, was they worked the Muslim terrorism angle, and they had a really good villain. They had a really good, like, main terrorist villain. But the problem I have is, like, of course, this villain, to make him sympathetic, they make it so like, oh, he was on the right path in life, and then something happened to him. And you're supposed to kind of like understand.
It's like that Joker killing joke thing.
Sure.
All it takes is one bad day.
Right. So, but the problem is, okay, so that doesn't make me hate this villain, because honestly, the villain is way more interesting
than Jack
Ryan is. Honestly, he is. But yeah, I'm sorry, but maybe, I kind of doubt that's how a lot of this happens. I would imagine that usually, like, someone's just born in a shitty area into a shitty situation, and they're just brought up to be fucking assholes.
I think I think about it this way. They grow up in a shitty area where, like, it's hot all the time. It's sand everywhere.
Oh, geez, don't say that line. There's sand. It gets everywhere.
I hate it. It's coarse. It's rough.
That's what they all are saying.
Yeah. They're all Anakins.
Yeah,
but they're just raised there. They never get out. There is no Qui-Gon for them.
So I had a little problem with, like, the sympathy card being played too much towards them. There's a subplot with this drone pilot.
Okay.
And they, there's like one episode that's pretty well dedicated to this character.
Okay.
It doesn't go anywhere good. It's like, okay, so basically the character kills someone that he's told to kill from the drone. It's a remote drone pilot in like Las Vegas or something. Las Vegas.
Okay.
And he kills someone. He finds out that they gave him the wrong name, or the wrong guy. Like, the person he killed wasn't a terrorist.
Okay.
So this
That
character's having it right. It sucks, but it's like also you're kind of trained for this. Like these things happen, you understand that. But they did have this scene earlier where he's like off the rails because your introduction to him is basically every time one of him or his pilot or his co-person that sits there with him kills someone, they give the other person $1. So it's just like this thing they do.
Okay.
So he's got like $100-something, and he's all like drunk or upset. He's like obviously got a screw loose, whatever.
Okay.
So he goes and puts it all on black at the roulette table, puts it all on black again, puts it on red, and then puts it on a number. And he hits all of the bets. So
Holy
he ends up with like $30-something thousand.
Wow.
So this is gonna be spoiled. It's a side plot.
Okay.
It's bullshit.
Okay.
Listeners, feel free to jump ahead. There's timestamps. But anyway, so he finds out after this that he killed the wrong guy. Now he goes as far as to get a ticket. This is the whole plot. This is a season-long plot, like a plot
For
point.
this character.
For this character, he's a side character. He goes to Syria to try and find the family of the guy he killed. He knocks on their door. The grandpa or the guy's dad and the guy's son live at this house.
Okay.
So he knocks on the door. The grandpa or the dad, the victim's dad answers, old man, doesn't speak English. The guy doesn't speak Syrian or whatever the fuck they're speaking.
Okay.
So he goes into the house, like he tries to explain it to him. He like basically mimes it to him, whatever. And then the little boy comes in the room and basically says, look, I want to give you all this money.
Okay.
The little boy comes, the guy's like, no, we can't take your money. Or they can't understand each other. This is what makes the scene so stupid. And the fucking boy comes in like, oh, here, I've got these eggs. Want to buy some eggs? And the guy's like, yeah, I'll buy some eggs. And he like moves the $20,000 in front of the kid. And that's the end of the plot. That's the end of the story. So basically, here's $20,000 or whatever you have left. And all's good now.
Did he at least convert it into local currency?
No, that's going to be a problem.
So they got 20,000 American dollars in fucking Syria.
I mean, you'll be able to do something with it. But the point is, like, what? Okay, like they seem to forgive the guy, but really, it's like they weren't English. They didn't speak English, so you don't know.
You don't. He didn't even get closure. That's fantastic. That's good.
Yeah, that was dumb. Yeah, I already mentioned there's no info given to you about Jack as a character. I mean, like
he's a CIA analyst, man, who becomes action hero. What more do you need, Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, it works for Ethan, but it doesn't work for.
It works in a 2-hour setting.
That's true. Yes, and I'm not okay. I feel like I'm being too hard on this,
and I actually feel like it barely works in a 2-hour setting. Like, I need more from Ethan than just. Action
I feel like
Man.
you've been given, like you're given enough little pieces. You know, there's enough there, right?
Yeah.
But another thing that really drove me nuts in this is like these terrorists have information. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're always shooting to kill. Like right. You know you want to take the guy in alive,
right? And
you fucking shoot him in the chest. Mm-hmm. Or another example, there's a point where one of the terrorists like throws a coup and throws the terrorist leader into a cell with like 12 hostages. Okay. So at some point, those hostages get freed. Now, as they're leaving, the people who freed the hostages goes, what about that guy? And the hostage looks back and goes, he's one of them. So yeah, no. I mean, you'd think like, okay, perfect. You've got a fucking ex-terrorist or a terrorist who has been slighted,
right?
Thrown into this cell with these characters, these hostages. This is the perfect guy to give you information,
right?
No, just shoot him. Just kill him.
This is shockingly poorly written.
Right. That was my biggest problem. It's poorly written. It is. Yeah, the Muslim prisoner thing, that the terrorist prisoner, that was the worst of the slights, because I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, this is not how this works.
Right.
No. You know what I mean? Like, there's some great stuff too in the show.
Okay.
I think the relationship between Jack and the love interest in the show is pretty good. I mean, I have my questions as to whether or not he'd have any time for this, but I thought it was well done. You know, like you felt something.
You thought that, it worked despite the fact that he's bland, no history, man.
He's not bland. Like his acting, the performance he puts on is not bland. Like
so basically, Krasinski elevates a character that could have been very two-dimensional.
I would say that, except for the fact that I still, I was forced into liking him by his likability.
Right.
But do I, like, when I look at him, do I put him in this role? Absolutely not.
Well, that sounds like that was it sounds like a miscasting thing, but it sounds like Krasinski is just a likable actor. So
right.
Doesn't matter what role you put him in, you're still going to like him.
You're right. I liked him, and I liked a lot of the like side characters. Like I said, the terrorist villain's good. There's a plot with the terrorist villain and his brother.
Okay,
that's really good. There's the chief or the captain or whatever, Krasinski's boss. He's always, I forget the character's name, but he's always been like a main character in these Jack Ryan stories. Morgan Freeman played him in The Sum of All Fears or whatever.
Okay.
But he, like, their banter and getting to know each other is good.
Okay.
Would I recommend the show? Sure. But I've seen better versions of this.
It's called 24.
Yes, it is. It's called 24. Jack Bauer is 100 times better of a character than this iteration of Jack Ryan.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, if you haven't seen 24, watch 24. But if you have seen 24 and you want like 24 light, this is a good show.
2.5 stars.
Yeah, but no, well,
3 out of 5.
I'd give it a B- or C+. We'll go with that.
Okay.
But yeah, no, one other thing though, I can't forget about this. One of the main things in this is that the terrorists, and it's not a main thing like it goes through the whole season.
Okay.
But one of the things they do is they use a video game to like communicate, like online game, because they can secretly send each other messages or whatever.
You had me worried.
Whoever wrote this has never fucking played an online video game because they use it completely wrong. They don't use headsets. They like send messages with the controllers.
Right.
And you could just tell, like, okay, you should have brought in like a consultant or something. Like, how would this work?
Why don't they just like, there's a thing called Twitch and YouTube?
Sure. Well, that's tracked probably better though. Like, they're literally playing a specific game.
No, I'm just saying
to learn how to use it. Yeah.
Just
they could
throw those on.
Okay. Scenario. Terrorist brother is in France on the run. He grew up in France, so he like knows people in the neighborhood, whatever. He goes to a friend's house and he's like, hey, can I stay here? Blah, 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 blah. The guy's like, yeah, sure. So he looks over and he sees like the friend has a PlayStation with the game. That he needs to play conveniently. So he gets on and he talks to his brother. That's how they communicate.
Right.
So later, like the brother leaves, okay, and Jack Ryan and shit, they learn where he is. Too late. They show up, like interrogate the dad, whatever.
Right.
Or the guy whose house he was staying at. And they look over and like the kids are complaining about the game. And they're like, okay, we'll put a different game in or whatever. And then Jack Ryan's like, well, wait a minute. They don't like the game? Why is the game in? Like, why were they playing that? Blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, what's his name was playing it? Like, the brother was playing it. Why the fuck did they have this game? If nobody in the house likes the game, why do they own the game?
Okay, and I haven't even seen this series, but I'm actually going to defend it. I have owned games that I thought would be good.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I bought them. I'm like, this looks cool. Bought it. Game sucked.
Okay.
Never returned it.
All right. Well, defend this one.
Okay.
So after the brother goes on the run,
okay,
something happens, and basically Jack Ryan has the idea, like, let's use the game. Like, let's pretend we're the brother.
Play a game.
Let's pretend we're the brother, and we'll get on the game and talk to the terrorist. Okay. Now, they do this. They set this whole thing up. He's in a hotel. So what? He brought the game with him? He went and bought a new copy of the game with the PlayStation and hooked it up at his hotel.
He's a gamer, man.
It takes a lot of leaps.
He's gonna be the new ninja.
Yeah,
they just had to. I love it because it reeks of like, what do the kids like these days?
Right, exactly.
Let's put some video games in there.
Idea. Yeah, they had no clue what they were doing. But what's funny is you're watching that and like while you're thinking it's stupid, it's like, well, this idea is kind of neat.
Right.
Like if you would have done this correctly, it would have been really cool, but you fucked it up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
Like first of all, it'd be easier to track, I'm assuming, like messages than headsets and like party chat or whatever people would use the kids are using these days. And the games just looked stupid. And then later on there's a character in a safe house with her kids, and they give the kid a game that's hooked up to the internet Wi-Fi. Like, why would you ever give them access to the internet?
It's a good question.
But yeah, that's it.
But
otherwise, it's a good show. It's just good enough to watch.
That's Jack Ryan, people. I finished Marvel's Runaways.
Oh yes, you talked about that last week, and
it sucks.
Okay,
so
you
blows.
went from like this might be okay to
I thought I was 4 episodes in. I was actually in the middle of the 3rd episode.
Oh Jesus!
So that lets you know how long I thought the show was.
No, one of the Transformers used the time gun on you.
It's terrible. It's terrible. The acting is terrible. The characters are cliche and boring. You've got your religious devout lady. You've got your jock. You've got your goth chick. You've got your SJW, but to extreme.
Right.
And it's like, it's ridiculous because it's like, we all know a far left leaning person. This is like that on crack. It's fucking atrocious. Like her.
So like it's very, only a certain type of person is going to appreciate it. Like the hardcore.
I don't even know. I bet you this is the problem with they call it decompressed storytelling, where you take everything and everything's a moment. Everything's a moment.
Sounds like is us.
We're gonna go and take a shit. We're gonna film you taking a shit and see what your face feels like. What's going on your face?
Oh Jesus!
And it's just, that's what this is, because they spend the whole season finding out what their parents are up to with the goddamn fucking cult, and you don't find out all of it. You don't even find out like half of it. All you find out is that they were somewhat decent people at one point, but they were brought in by a guy who was in Nip and Tuck or Nip Tuck. I never watched it.
Oh, really? He's in this?
Yeah, a guy who played Dr. Doom. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
He's the big bad.
I forgot he existed.
And the one time that they have like a superhero clash, which I'm sorry, but these are superhero things. You're going to have action sequences at some point. You're going to have special effects at some point. It's a fair thing to judge the show on how well it does those things.
Sure.
They have a Kamehameha battle at a construction site for a grand total of 15 seconds, and that's your action sequence for the show. It's fucking garbage.
All right.
It's bad. And the show is called The Runaways. And the cool thing about the comics was these were kids who ran away when they found out that now I haven't read the comic, but the basic premise is they ran away when they found out that their parents are supervillains, basically.
Okay.
At the end of the season is when they finally run away because they get framed.
So the whole thing was like a setup to get to
the goddamn title of the show.
Okay.
It's fucking bullshit. That's the most interesting thing that you could have done, and you waited till the last episode to do it. And guess what? You expended all goodwill with me as a viewer because of it.
You're probably one of the only people that got that far.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing is this is why I don't listen to fucking Rotten Tomatoes when it comes to TV, is because all these streaming shows, they always give like the critics like the first half of the show,
sure,
which tends to be the better part, and it's got like an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, which also I look at it and I'm like, a lot of these TV critics do not seem nearly as critical or as like well thought out as the movie critics.
Interesting. You know what I've always thought they should do for that? They should make, like, it should be a stipulation. You need to watch every episode.
Yes.
And you need to review each episode.
Yes.
As its own thing.
Yeah.
And then you take the average of the episode reviews.
Right.
So season 1 would be reviewed, you might have, like, let's say 100 people reviewed a 10 episode season.
Right.
There'd be 1,000 reviews.
Right.
Okay. So you would average, if 700 of them were good, it gets a 70%.
Yeah.
That's not how it's done, though.
No,
they review the show like when they've gotten the first 4 episodes.
Yeah. And you can just feel it. They're like, oh, it's pushing new boundaries in the superhero genre. Blah. Best Marvel show. And this came out like last fall, I believe. And they're like, best Marvel's best show this fall. Punisher came out around that time, motherfucker. And Punisher is way better than this dog shit.
Yeah.
And some people be like, well, you're not a teenager. It's not your demographic. This isn't Buffy. This isn't a thing that's meant for teenagers, but is also happens to have good quality to it with its storytelling.
Sure.
That's not what this is. This is cliche garbage with with non-existent fight scenes and boring characters.
All right.
So don't check it out. Give it 2 thumbs down.
Watch Jack Ryan instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably. Yeah.
They're on competing streaming services anyways. This is on Hulu.
Hulu.
So,
all right. I heard there's a Stephen King show on Hulu that's pretty good. Shit.
Well, tell me what it is and I'll check it out.
I will. It's supposed to be pretty good.
Okay.
But I wish I would have. I should keep my mouth shut. The only other thing I watched the first episode of. Speaking of Stephen King, hell of a segue here, totally on accident. The first episode of the second season of Mr. Mercedes was released this week.
Okay, I don't even know anything about this.
Oh, so Mr. Mercedes, the first season, basically this killer stole a Mercedes Benz, and there was like a job fair happening.
Okay.
Like people were lined up outside of this job fair, and he just plowed it into all these people.
Holy fuck.
Okay, so it's got Gleason.
Donald Gleason.
No.
Not the redhead?
The older one.
Danny?
God damn
Danny
it. From
Glover?
In Bruges.
Danny Glover. That's who you're talking about.
Yeah, it's got Danny Glover. It is Brendan Gleeson. Brendan,
the old creepy man. Yeah,
so he's like your main character, detective, who's like a drunk and he's retired or whatever.
Seems in his wheelhouse.
And basically, this killer fucks with him.
Okay.
The whole first season.
Oh.
It's good.
Okay.
It's very disturbing. It's very Stephen King, and it's on the Audience Network on DirecTV.
Okay.
It's like their version of like an HBO, but it's their channel.
Okay.
Really well-made show, but it's too disturbing for a lot of people. I think like the Mr. Mercedes and his mother have like a romantic thing.
Oh, got a Bates Motel thing going on.
No, but it goes beyond that.
I would imagine so.
But no, what's interesting about the show is like, well, at least in the first season, the detective, your main character, Brendan Gleeson, it follows him and Mr. Mercedes from their storylines, like almost equally.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like you're let in on the psychopaths, thought processes and all that sort of shit. But yeah, it started this week and it was good. The first episode was. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that it's good. I got the other one on DVR right now.
You know what's another show that has sort of like a dual like protagonist sort of thing going on? Death Note.
Oh, really? Oh, see, I got to finish that. That's right. I watched the first one. I'll watch it. It should be a quick watch, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there's only like 40 episodes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'll watch the first season.
Yeah, watch the first season because that's the best season.
All right. Well, yep, do we have anything else that we watched?
I didn't have anything else at home, no. Did you see, so we saw Searching, but did you see anything else this weekend besides Searching?
I didn't.
Okay.
I did not.
So we're going to go right into...
Searching.
I'm
going to let you go with this.
Okay. See, Jackson hasn't told me what he thinks about this. So he's kind of pulled a me on me. So Searching Stars what's his name? John Cho?
Harold. John Cho. It is John Cho.
Okay. I was going to say, I was pretty sure it was John Cho, but I wasn't sure.
Harold. I will be calling him Harold for this whole review.
Harold from Harold and Kumar.
And if you don't know which one is Harold out of Harold and Kumar, then
hey, let's not stereotype now. Come on. Tell me there can't be an Asian Kumar. Jesus Christ.
They're both Asian.
That's true. That's true.
Look at you. See,
That's true.
I took yours
and
I flipped it.
Yeah. Turned it on itself. It's got John Cho, and he is a father. I don't want to give away what happens at the beginning of the movie because I loved this movie. I didn't think I would, but I ended up loving it. And John Cho is a father. His daughter goes missing, and this movie is basically about him working with the detective to try and find his daughter. Now,
Deborah Messing,
yes, Grace from I don't even remember. Will and Grace. There we go. Got it.
It's in the title.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say Grace Under Fire.
No, Harold and Grace.
Harold and Grace. Those
are your two main characters.
Would have done better at the box office if it had been called Harold and Grace. But okay, the interesting thing about this movie though is the fact that literally the whole thing is shot through computer screens, FaceTimes, cell phones. Everything is off of a computer screen.
Devices, correct.
You never leave that. And the thing that I thought was that this is you almost get to the point where it's almost claustrophobic as a viewer. I was like, because I didn't watch any of the trailers, I just sort of knew the basic premise of it. And I was like, oh God, is this ever going to expand out of this? And about half an hour in, I just stopped caring
about the fact that it was being told in that way.
Yeah.
You cared about the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I really cared about the characters. I thought this did a really good job of divulging exposition. For the most part, there are parts near the end where exposition needs to be told as exposition.
So we're going to bookmark that because when I do tell you what I thought of this, the end is going to be focused on greatly.
Okay. But I thought John Cho did a great performance.
He's another likable guy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, he's entered and it's so weird to think that he's entered dad age.
Right.
But he's entered dad age, and he plays a great. You want him as your dad. He'd be a great dad.
Yeah.
And he is a great dad in this. And his daughter, I don't know the actress's name, but I thought she did a great job too.
I mean, she was good. There wasn't much of her.
There wasn't much of her, but there were small looks because she's a quiet character,
right?
And there were small looks and sides and things that she did. She did big things that conveyed a lot about the character in very small movements, and I liked that.
Well, the other thing that was interesting is most of what I was learning about her was just the things she was doing on the computer.
Yes.
Which was interesting.
Yeah. That was a really interesting way to learn about a character. I really liked this. I thought the beginning montage was heartbreaking.
Up Part 2. That's what it reminded me of.
Right.
If you've ever seen Up, it starts with a montage.
Very similar.
Setting up where these characters are at.
Yes.
It tells a lot in a very short period of time.
Yep.
Very effectively.
Yes. Very, very. You become very attached to the characters.
Immediately.
And the ending is I felt quite moving, but I'll be interested to hear what you have to say. Not as, and I don't know if it's just I was so into the movie, but not as predictable as I had thought it was going to be, which for me made the experience even better. I would say it's probably one of the best movies of the year. I would probably put it in my top 5.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good movie.
Maybe top 10. I don't know. I'd have to go through what the best movies of the year so far.
Yeah. By the way, folks, at the end of we haven't even talked about this, but we have to plan some sort of a.
We're gonna do a top 10,
right? Oscars or the bored and annoyed Oscars.
The bored and yeah. You get a little Bori.
Yes,
that's the statue that we're gonna give you, and but yeah, and we'll do a top bottom 10.
Oh,
also.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
the Razzies.
Yeah,
we gotta copy the Razzies.
Yep. But so, what did you think of Searching?
I would give it like a solid B plus, maybe a B. The style of it. Mm-hmm. Like, you think like found footage gimmick. You think like gimmicky movies. And I'm going to be honest, there's another one like Unfriended or something that's out that I think is, I haven't seen that.
I haven't either.
I thought the way they did it was fucking really cool.
It was.
Because you're watching it, and like they got the rights somehow for like YouTube, Google. All the different bullshit. They had Apple shit. They had Windows. They had all that sorts of stuff.
Yep.
There's a really neat scene in there where like it kind of scares you to see how easy it is to crack a password. Like if your parents had your computer.
Yep.
Clever as fuck.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
That was a great scene. Yeah.
Because, like, okay, he goes on to Facebook. He can't get on her Facebook. Because a huge aspect of this movie revolves around the fact that she left her computer.
Yes.
He has her laptop.
Yep.
But to get into all of her stuff, he needs her password.
Yeah.
So he goes on to Facebook, hits the forgot password button. They send him a code. And then he has to go, oh, what's your backup recovery email? So he goes to that website. They give him a code. And eventually he hits like Yahoo or something. And he gets in.
Yeah.
And once he's in there, he can access pretty much anything of hers.
Yes.
So that was like clever, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff I didn't like, the fake news reporters, the anchors of the news. And I
was going to say that's probably the weakest part of the movie is when they use the news, because that's where I say the movie does exposition very well. But it's the news where you really feel it, because they're like, God, there's just no, clearly the writer's like, God, there is no way that I can do this.
I don't hate the idea of like news shit.
It feels
although you could have just read it, but then your audience isn't watching something, they're reading something.
And that's the thing is I was like, it's there out of necessity, and that's why I forgive it. But I don't like it because it almost feels like cheating, because you're technically watching the news on your computer, and I get it.
Sure. And people do that. But it still feels like, But he would have the TV on. He'd be seeing this shit on his TV.
Right.
Right?
And
you had like
clearly,
local anchors and, like
well,
all
and
that
clearly
kind of
it's not him, because he's...
Right.
In some of the news reports, he's at the location.
Yes.
So you lose that sort of first person thing. But it never was like exclusively a first person thing, because the montage sort of sets up, you know what I mean?
Now, what it did do, though, was it brought in so basically, this movie it brings in, the reason the news stuff is in here, because it's one of those like glorified cases that everybody's interested in.
Yes.
And I like that. I like the fact that you have the people on message boards who are like, the dad did it.
Yes.
And there's like people all over, and there's people who are like, he does something in the movie that's like a little rash.
Yeah.
He's pissed and he does something. There's like half the people are like, wow, what a fucking lunatic. And half the people are like, well, wait a minute. If my daughter was gone. Yeah, exactly. So that's realistic to me.
Yeah. And I felt very, and it shows how much I was into the character. I was like, man, I'm so glad that there are people being fair to him online and saying like, like I was so in that situation, he's missing his teenage daughter. How do you not root for this guy?
Right. There would be people like who would think he was the suspect.
Yes.
It was very like interesting because it's true.
Yeah.
Like that's how it kind of works. Now, I think the storytelling, the way the story was told, was far and away what separated this. Now, the thriller elements of the movie, we can get more into that in spoilers, the details.
Okay.
But I thought it was a bit predictable.
Okay.
There's a couple things specifically that I felt like were very poorly placed for somebody who watches a lot of these movies to the point where it's
Okay.
giving something away or it's taking you out of the movie because you're like, oh, wait a minute, you know. But overall, like B+, really good movie.
Okay.
I liked it a lot.
You'll
I would
have to-
highly recommend seeing it. It's not going to be in my best of the year.
Okay.
Though, I must say, kudos to them for the idea and the execution of the idea because
Yeah.
it's a gimmick movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
It's so nice to not see like fake computer interfaces too.
Yes. Well, no, and I said that to the fiance too. I'm like, you know, I'd be very interested to see, because this is free advertising for all these companies.
Yeah.
I'd be very interested to see how they got these rights into the
Yeah.
movie, because I think if any of them are gone, the movie's broken.
It
If he
doesn't-
goes to Oodle instead of Google,
Yeah.
or like, and I don't even know, is Oodle a thing? It could be. I'm assuming it probably is.
I would assume after this goes out, it will be.
But like, you know, MeTube instead of YouTube or
Right.
something. Any one of those would completely break the immersion
Yes.
and ruin the movie. That never happened.
Well,
Never.
And I think from a filmmaking standpoint, it was actually really smart that they basically limited their locations, and because those rights probably cost a lot of money, and by shooting it basically on the computer screen, they saved a shit ton of money as far as like getting like dollies and getting drones and getting all these, you know, big expensive cameras and having a full on crew.
No, yeah, it was great the way they made it.
Yeah. I mean,
Especially if you want to see something different.
yes, it's
This is
very,
the one to see.
It's very different.
And something that never is boring.
No, it keeps your attention, and it's tremendously emotionally engaging.
I wasn't as emotionally invested in
Okay.
this as maybe some would be.
Okay.
I was at the beginning and a little tiny bit at the end, but
Okay. So you want to go into spoilers?
spoilers.
So the beginning of the movie with the montage with the mom dying,
Yes.
from lymphoma.
The up scene.
The up
calling it the up
montage.
scene. And it's done wonderfully.
It's so heartbreaking.
Yeah. Well, and it's neat because like this is how like I mean, I didn't grow up in this era.
Right.
But I would imagine if when I have kids someday, everything's going to be on the computer.
Yeah.
You know, and they even go into stuff where like he reflects back later.
Yes.
And it's like he can't handle the pain of something, so he'll like delete it.
Yeah, or remove it from search
Right, yes.
search results.
So it's there, but he won't have to see it unless he goes out of his way to see it.
Yes. I thought
Fucking
that
genius.
is so great, so great. I do love I love the way that like the camera would follow like the mouse sometimes, which would help build the tension.
Yep. They did zooms on like specific parts of the
Yeah.
screen where they wanted you looking. They
And it
made
didn't-
sure it's not like you're just looking at a full computer screen. It's still cinematic in the presentation.
it still moves around. Yeah, absolutely. And in that regard, they're able to sort of direct you to what's important, and it might not be, you know, the character who's necessarily talking.
Right.
And I thought that was kind of interesting
Something
too.
pops up on
Yeah,
the side
something-
or
something-
somebody's
yep.
calling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, when the daughter calls
And he's sleeping.
and he's sleeping,
Yeah, that was pretty
that's
rough. That's shitty.
rough. That's yeah.
Why didn't she leave a voicemail?
I don't know. Well, I mean, it's probably one of those things like, I mean, I don't know if you're like me, but when you really need to get in touch
You
with
just
somebody,
hang up and call again.
Yes.
And text or something.
And text or something. Yeah,
But
exactly.
did she do any of that?
She called,
A couple times.
it was 2 or 3 times. I can't remember.
But she didn't leave a voicemail.
She didn't leave a voicemail.
And she didn't send a text.
No. But I'm assuming that the calls were happening when she was freaked out because of the dude.
Yes, correct. But I
So-
still think she'd be like, Dad, blah, 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 blah. You know?
Maybe. Well, and we don't even know like when she called. Did she call after she fell down the mountain? Was she unconscious? Or did she call when he was talking to her? Because if he's talking to her, maybe she's distracted.
Yeah, I guess I got to see it again. I got to see if I can figure that out.
But so the spoiler at the end, she lives, and Grace was the one who
who was the killer?
well, she wasn't the killer, but she was
She
protecting.
killed someone.
Oh, she did kill. She did technically.
She's a killer.
She is a killer.
And we're talking thriller speak here, Alex.
Yeah,
the killer.
Yeah, she was the mastermind. She was protecting her son.
Right.
She was protecting her son. And that was a nice sort of narrative parallel between her character and John Cho about like what you will do for your kid.
Yes.
And he just happens to be the good parent who is doing the right thing.
Well, and it's neat because a big thing about this movie is that he figures out he doesn't really know his daughter.
Yes.
Like, we don't really know our children.
Yeah.
That's the idea. And she's telling him, like, look, it's not your fault. And she's even though she's a dastardly villain,
yeah,
like, she is being honest because she's dealt with that with her own kid.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, let's pump the brakes here. I want to get into something that bothered me.
Okay, what bothered you?
Oh God, what's the service she streams on?
Oh God, it's something I've never heard of before.
Yeah, it's a real thing. But anyway, she streams, and there's this person who follows her on this.
Chick-fil-A or something like that. Fish and chips. That's
fish and chips.
Yeah.
Fish and chips. So they make a big thing about fish and chips. There's like a big scene where it's all about fish and chips. The person who talks to her. It's like this redheaded girl.
Yeah.
Then they have the scene where it's like Deborah Messing's character's like, oh yeah, I looked into fish and chips. Like, yeah, and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Like blah 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 blah. And I sat and I said, yeah, bullshit. Like, I'm sorry, but that's fucking dumb.
Well, I think the way that it works for me is that narratively, he gets Deborah Messing as the detective for his case, and he assumes that she was assigned to him because that's what the dispatch lady said.
Yep.
So he looks her up, and he sees all these great things that she has done as a detective and like for the community and stuff. So the movie has narratively set up that this is a character to trust.
Yeah, but what's the point of that earlier scene if that was the case? I just think it's a giveaway. If you have a scene that's all about fish and chips, and it's clear that this is a big point of the movie, this is a big thing, and then you have a scene where it's like, oh, but no, fish and chips isn't a big deal.
But they also had that guy who was smoking the bong, and like he's like, oh, I'm her pimp. They spent time on that guy too. The point was they were trying
not the same, dude. I'm sorry.
Not the same amount of time.
The way that they fucking went into the fish and chips thing with like the Pokemon, how does she know, or how does fish and chips know that she likes Pokemon?
Well, they did that after.
No, they didn't. It was the first scene when he's looking through her computer.
No, I'm saying he asks. I know what you're saying. He asks her, Pokemon.
Right.
Which
What's
one's
your favorite
Pokemon? But they don't. Harold doesn't ask. Why does he know that you as the audience member may ask that, but like it's not John Cho who's asking it. So if you're smart enough to figure that out, then good on you.
Well, if you honestly thought that the fish and chips thing was done for the movie when Deborah Messing said that, I think that you might need to go back to elementary school because you're stupid, in my opinion. Because that was like, they made it such a thing. You knew it had to pop up later. Now, does that mean I wasn't surprised when I saw the stock image actress picture later?
Yeah.
No. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about the fish and chips thing.
Yeah.
But at the time when the fish and chips thing was like, oh yeah, no, we checked that out. She's a waitress in Pittsburgh. Don't worry about it. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, no, things aren't what they seem with fish and chips. I'm sorry. Nice try, movie.
Right.
Nice try.
I would say that fish and chips, when you're watching it, you're like, it's the one that stands out as being like the most likely culprit. But also they just threw out the whole like, maybe it was a pervert. And then the movie makes you think that she's dead.
It's no. No, I never thought she was dead.
I did. I thought she was.
I mean, honestly, I think the ending might be more powerful if she's dead. That's an honest opinion.
Well, yeah, but then the movie becomes. It's not hopeful. It's a hopeful movie about getting over grief.
The internet's a nasty place. Yes. Computers are nasty things. I don't know. Like the fish and chips thing bothered me. The other one where in my head, it was Deborah Messing earlier in the movie.
Okay.
It was when, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I missed a line of dialogue, so I cheated. But when he goes to the lake and he calls her and he's like, he
You
leaves
told
her a
me-
message, blah, 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 blah. Like, I looked, call me. I think I know where she is, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Deborah Messing picks up the phone and goes, are you at the lake? And I don't think he told her that.
Okay.
I don't think he told her that.
I'd have to go back and watch it
So
again.
when she said, or if he did tell her, I didn't hear it. So when she said, are you at the lake? I went, well, wait a minute. How does she know there's a lake in any of this? Which, okay, that's a subtle hint. That wouldn't be broken if you did that. But I wasn't fully,
Right. Yeah, well, see, and this is why the movie is probably worth a second viewing anyways, because the way that the mystery information is represented to you and presented over time, it does get a little like, you're presented a lot of information.
a shit ton. Yes.
And it's like, you're right. Some of it, like, yeah, if she said that, that's a big thing. Now, I could understand why somebody would just not
catch it. The fiance didn't catch it. And like I said, I might have missed him being like, she's at the lake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's possible that I missed that. Now, I want to go back to something because you compared fish and chips to the bong smoking jackass guy.
Right.
That does have a payoff later.
It does.
Because that's the kid that he goes and accosts at the movie theater.
Yes.
So yeah, so we weren't done with him.
Right.
And
but that's what I'm saying is,
and
like,
he's still out there as a possible issue. Whereas fish and chips, they just tried to fucking like shove that down. Oh no, fish and chips. No, it's waitress. So we checked that out.
I loved the scene where John Cho finds out that she's dead. Because at that point,
yes.
Okay, so one, it's great that they made him suspect his brother. Because
that was one of my favorite parts of the movie because, like, it is an insane thing to think.
But at the same time, you read those messages and you're like,
yeah, totally.
What's going on?
Well, because
here?
what's interesting about that is, like, on a normal day, you read those messages and you say, like, oh, I wonder what this is about. This is weird. Like, I'm going to go talk to him. But because you're in the headspace of the character.
Yeah.
And everything that's going on in this movie, like, this is fucked.
Yeah.
So basically, he finds text messages from his brother to his daughter saying, like, meet up tonight.
Yeah.
And, like,
last
I
night
can't
was
believe
fun.
I can't believe we're doing this. Like, he would
Don't
be
tell
so
your dad.
pissed. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're sitting there like, oh, there's like
just
a sexual angle.
Yeah,
here. What
this
the
is
fuck?
bad. Yeah. And then you find out that he's just smoking her up for weed and talking about her problems.
Yeah.
And he's being like, I would say,
An
probably
uncle.
like a pretty decent uncle.
Yes.
I mean, even with the weed.
Yeah, no, totally.
But yeah, he loses it on him. He puts all these cameras around, and that was kind of, I was like, ooh, this is nice.
That was a little weird.
I liked it because it made sense for the headspace that the character, like you're
Sure.
talking about the headspace he's in.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
like,
fucking losing his shit.
yeah. And but then the fact that they have those cameras in his apartment so you can see his reaction, he just collapses at the door.
Right.
And he just basically rolls into the fetal position. I was like, that's it. That's
I knew,
apparent.
No, but there was still okay. So here's where there's no way I thought she was dead.
Was it because that didn't resolve any sort of narrative things?
Well, it's because this is a whodunit movie.
Right.
The whole way through it feels like a whodunit mystery, and there's nothing
Right.
that you're giving the audience absolutely no like payoff to that.
Right.
If what they've originally presented to you as the girl dying
right.
was the real thing that happened, then it just becomes everything's pointless in my opinion.
Right. I mean, I think there's a way that you can write it where you can come up with something. But yes, the movie would instantly become a lesser movie if she had died in that way.
In that way, correct. Because it's like, oh, well, how would I have ever known it was this fucking guy?
Yeah.
That's dumb. Like, I don't know anything about this guy. You
Yep.
haven't given me any threads to follow. Like,
Yep.
because it's a thriller. It's a whodunit. You
Yep.
know what I mean? So yeah, I think that narratively, I had a few problems with it, but I can't say enough about how awesome it is. It's as its own thing, like as this new type of movie.
It's a great viewing experience.
Yes, correct.
And I would say, like, near the end, they kind of they show you Deborah Messing's confession in the jail cell.
Oh, that was good too. She was good.
She was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked her. They kind of hinted at the son thing too, because there was a scene where the son came in when she was web chatting with him.
Yep.
And I was like, well, that's, I understand that she has a kid, but for some reason my brain was like, this is a little weird.
Well, and the kid was weird.
Yes.
And you weren't let in on yet that the kid had like a mental disorder of some sort.
Yeah.
But you just knew. And if they're going to have a kid have that kind of a situation,
Yeah.
it probably relates to the plot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And,
God,
but
it
yeah,
was good though.
but she confesses, and then they do the whole like, well, then he was riding in the cop car when you were getting arrested. What did he say then? And she's like, oh, she'd have to go 5 days without water to survive. He's like, no, 2 days.
Stormed.
It stormed. And then they have the triumph of going and getting the daughter, and she's alive. And you're like, that was where I was like, fuck yeah.
So the emotional, yeah, that was great.
That was it was the
It
emotional
was good.
release.
The emotions, the part that almost got me,
Mm-hmm.
the part that almost made my eyes well up, is the desktop background on the computer, which is funny because that's so cheesy at the end.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the final hurrah of the movie.
I think one of my favorite things was they established earlier in the movie that he wants to let her know that her mother would be proud of her.
Oh yes, that was good too.
But he can't. He types it and then he deletes it earlier in the movie, and at the end he finally can say it, and he can finally start talking to his daughter about her mother.
Well, and it gave you that moment where you feel like you're really good at movie watching because you're like, that's what he's gonna say.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like,
well, and they do it because it's from her point of view, so you see the
Right.
kind of the 3 ellipses going,
Yeah.
so you know that he's typing, and then and you're like,
yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
It was good.
I really liked it.
I would not give anyone who says they love this movie shit.
Yeah, I don't know if I love it, but it was so much better than I thought it was going to be.
I had seen a trailer.
Okay.
And I had told you I had seen a trailer.
Yeah.
And I thought it looked fucking great.
Okay.
Like it was a surprise, like trailer out of nowhere. Like what is, I haven't seen, how have I not seen this? This movie comes out next weekend. How have I not seen this fucking trailer?
And I'll never be able to do it because of this podcast, but I think movies might be better without watching their trailers.
Absolutely. 100%.
You just throw something in that you don't know. You're just like, oh, it's got this actor and this director, and this is the basic
And
plot.
it's getting decent reviews. I better go see it. Right.
Yeah. Because that is a great viewing experience
Yeah,
if you don't know.
It was totally different. And we see a ton of movies.
Yes.
So to see something different is refreshing.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are going to have a talk about how you didn't cry during the monster calls, but this made you well up. That needs to be.
I think part of what that is, and this is, it's a little bit of me with sort of like if a movie is nothing but sad,
Okay.
I tend to I don't want to say emotionally shut down, but I become a little numb to it. And that's what a monster's call is it's just sad.
A monster call.
A monster call.
It's one monster
Sorry.
he's calling.
Okay.
calls
Whatever. It's just a sad movie from beginning to end. Everything is sad. And I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying it's very somber.
Yeah, but it's very sad, but it's not the ending. The reason it's sad is not what you expected.
Right.
Which to me was fucking brilliant.
But
we don't have to get into a monster calls. But my point was just to say, listeners, we're going to have a poll. In 1 year, we're going to put a poll out there. What was sadder?
Okay.
It's gonna be 35 to 1.
It's
Alex is gonna be the 1.
Oh, I'm not saying it's sad.
Although this isn't sad.
I'm not exactly. It's definitely
sad.
not. It's not a level of sad because this movie actually has a lot of things going on as far as emotional sort of ranges. Because there are jokes in this movie.
Sure.
Even during the missing child bit.
Yep, you're right.
And those moments of levity. They mirror real life.
Sure.
Funny things happen even when you're at your most depressed.
That's true.
And when you sprinkle that throughout your movie, you make it feel more real, and you can create more of an emotional impact later on. At least for me.
Again, though, that was a fantasy,
right?
Whereas this is like
exactly
both good movies.
Yeah,
but
exactly. It kind of reminds me of Slumdog Millionaire. That's a movie that has happy moments,
Here he
sad
goes,
moments.
bringing in Slumdog again.
Well, I'm just saying.
Good old Slumdog.
It's one of those movies that can make you cry at the end because you've been through so much emotionally. Because there's
Sure.
good moments, bad moments, happy moments, hilarious moments, terrible moments. It feels like real life.
Okay.
So that's a thing that works for me.
Now, speaking of sad, I just found out in a couple months, Schindler's List is returning to the big screen for its 25th anniversary. So I'm gonna go see it.
So all you ladies, bring your compact and doing. You're gonna have to fix your makeup, is what I'm saying.
Well, no. What's funny is I've watched that movie a lot. Kind of disturbing how many times I just think it's like almost a perfect movie.
Right.
I can't breathe at the end of that movie. Like, that's how much it gets to me.
Right.
By far, it gets me worse than any movie I've ever seen. And I feel like I have to see it on the big screen because it's one of my favorite movies. But I feel like I have to pick a time when it's going to be like nobody's there because it is going to be embarrassing.
Right.
I have been laughed at. Like, I have ruined that movie for other people that have been with me watching it because it's violent.
Really?
Like, I can't, like, like that kind of shit, So
Okay.
So like they would be sad too,
But they're laughing at you?
but they're too busy being like, "What? Who is this fucking person?" He hates the Jews. Who is this guy? No.
What's wrong with those people?
No, well,
he's
you
a
haven't-
person having emotions, people.
Well, you
Can't have
haven't seen it.
emotions out in
Maybe
public.
That would be a fun YouTube video to like hidden camera.
Right.
If somebody had a hidden camera on me watching Schindler go, "Oh, I could have sold this car. Would have 10 more people. 10 more people."
Yeah.
Oh, fucking
And you're
brutal.
just
I can't handle
bawling.
it. What do we have next week?
I don't know.
Predators in 2 weeks. But coming soon. What do we got? So, The Nun. We have The Nun and Peppermint.
Another great week.
We also have that Nazi movie.
Oh yeah, Operation
Yeah, I'd like to see
Oscar
that.
Isaac.
That looks pretty good. Operation Ben Kingsley. Okay, man.
Sorry.
Operation the what's his name?
The Mandarin.
Yeah.
Operation Mandarin.
Yeah. Ben Kingsley in this. Yeah, he's going to be like some badass Nazi who kills a bunch of people. Oh, wait, no, he's not.
Did you know that
he's a
the
stoner.
fortune cookies are an American invention?
Yeah.
Do not go in there.
But yeah, that looks pretty good. I mean, I'm not personally excited to see The Nun, but I think it'll be good for the podcast because I know there's people that are. So.
Yeah. Real excited.
I liked Conjuring too.
It was all right.
These
It's pretty good.
spin-offs are...
It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Well,
But
I'll be excited
and
for
The
you
Nun
horror
was a
people.
creepy fucking painting.
It was a creepy character, but does it deserve its own movie?
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck that nun.
Yep. Well, don't. That's really wrong.
Yeah, don't do that.
Especially in today's climate. The priests and shit. Jesus.
Alrighty, guys. That's another episode of Bored and Annoyed. So we'll catch you next week.
Have a good one.
Bye.